Good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Hello, evening. Hello, everybody, and welcome to What Would the Smart Party Do? Once again, we're going through a starting adventure. This time, it's going to be the Mad Men of Gotheim for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition. This is a game that came out many, many moons ago, decades ago even, and it's recently had a fresh coat of paint from Cubicle 7. So we're giving one of their one-off PDF adventures a go out to see how that looks. And no doubt later on we'll talk about how maybe we could make it more awesome so that you can play it too and get extra advantage of our playthrough. I'm Gaz, one point of the What Would the Smart Boy to Do podcast. And with me is an excellent array of players. There's Baz, my fellow co-host, Matt from Steamforge Games, other places, and Shane, who's been kind enough to guest GM for us in the past too. So this adventure will be located in one little area, and it should give you a good flavour. The new Warhammer's got quite a few extra bits and pieces to it, so we might not fully cover all the rules in order to keep the game tight within 2 hours, etc. So just bear that in mind as you're watching us play, that some things might get a little bit skipped over for the sake of speed and alacrity, but we're going to try and stick to the scenario as written as much as we can to give it a fair shake. So I'll let the players introduce themselves and their characters, more importantly, one by one. Shall we start with you, Baz? Who are you playing tonight?
Hello, everybody. I am playing a character called Salundra von Drakenberg. She is of the von Drakenberg family, clearly a scion of the nobility. She has been a soldier in the past, but due to her moneyed background, she's been an officer for the last couple of years. She is an officer for the Reichland First Foot. Has seen absolutely no action whatsoever due to her status, and that's just the way she likes it. A mere 23 years old, and an enormous height as well. She comes from a family with some Tillian blood in there, I think. She's 6'2", but slender as a whip. Almost unbalanced by the fabulous hat that she wears at all times, which is slightly off-brand for the regiment, but again, knowing who my uncle is, nobody's going to call me out on it.
Excellent stuff. And Shane, who have you got for us tonight?
So I'm playing Molrella Brandysnap, an honest halfling entertainer who travels around the Empire, particularly the Reichland, telling stories, singing songs, charming people, and any stories about the fact that she had to leave previous locations after brushes with the law are purely slanders on her good name.
I'm quite sure all those wanted posters are because you wanted on the stage and not by any particular law enforcement.
See, and it's good to have fans.
And last but not least, who are you playing tonight, Matt?
I'm playing Gunnar Hrolfsson. He is a ex-jewel smith, now full-time dwarven troll slayer. However, he's not sure. He hasn't made a mistake in choosing this new career, but he's fully committed. Once you've kind of shaved your head and dyed it orange, there's no turning back. So he is seeking his death in the most honourable fashion he can master. But he is prone to melancholia and drink when he thinks about his life choices and the death of his children.
I was about to say life imitates art, but that last bit could be a bit dark. So maybe not.
I've got 3 words that describe him: angry, troubled, and belligerent. So yes.
I'm sure that'll come through in your genteel role playing throughout the rest of the evening. So for watchers at home, if you've played Warhammer at all, the miniatures game, it's that kind of world, but it's the old world, so not the new one, not the Age of Sigmar stuff. It's the old gritty Warhammer. So if you imagine films like Jabberwocky or that kind of thing, if you can remember such a thing, or maybe even Monty Python to an extent, if you think about the down and dirty, gritty, often raining, people have diseases, this isn't like a super-powered D&D type adventure where the characters are like superheroes and have magical powers to spare. This game is about ordinary folk in bad situations in a kind of pseudo-medieval, maybe German Renaissance kind of way. There's a bit tongue-in-cheek about some of the names, so apologies to our German listeners, of which we have a few, because the game explicitly has a plays on words by mangling German to make Germanic-sounding words that just don't make any sense, but to the English ears sounds very, very amusing. So I'm sure you can all laugh along with us too. Okay, you don't need to know much about the world for this particular adventure, apart from there's badness, chaos, evil monsters and stuff out there. And amongst all the normal life and farmlands, there's adventurers such as yourselves and sellswords who go about trying to right wrongs, or more often just get paid and work out about the morality of that later on. So the entire world and what it looks like, we don't need to know about. We just need to know about Gotheim, which is where we're starting out. It's partway between Ubersreich and the Auerswald, if that makes any difference to people out there in Listenerland. But for us, we don't care. It's a simple kind of farming village that's got, lots of wheat fields, they herd goats. It's one of probably the local villages from other places around call it the city, rather tongue-in-cheek, because this is where they'll bring their flocks and things to be parcelled up before it gets sent on to an actual city. So it's just a big village. You've been travelling along from one way to the other, it doesn't matter which. Let's say you're coming from Ubersreich and out into the big wild world. And you can see this city, in inverted commas, ahead of you, this village that you probably passed by several times on the way to Ubersreich on your adventures. And it's normally fairly bucolic, reasonably quiet. There's farmers in the fields. There's the sounds of goats bleating. There's the lazy smoke curling up from chimneys of the cottages and such inside. However, you are somewhat alarmed as you approach on this particular occasion, because you can see the shattered gates of the town in the stone barbican, which lead on to an array of devastation. The stout wood stockade that surrounds Gotheim has been breached in at least 3 or 4 different places. There's smoke coming up, but it's not from chimneys, it's from the burning houses and cottages of simple folk. If there are sounds of goats, it's plaintive bleating and distress, and there's utter destruction all around. In fact, it looks a very upsetting scene, and obviously something really brutal and perhaps, dare I say, it's large and dreadful has been through the village and caused no manner of, all manner of destruction. There might no manner, all the destruction you could want and more. And it's quite an upsetting scene, certainly if you remember spending time down here in the Red Queen Inn and that kind of thing. So, as you look about the shattered remains of the gates, you've barely got time to kind of gather your thoughts, look at each other, about to explain to each other what you think of such a scene of devastation. And you can hear in the woods nearby, there's shouts of alarm, anger, rage, the trampling of feet and smashing of branches, and it seems like a small mob is coming through the forest towards you directly. What do you wish to do?
Well, it looks like they started the party without us, didn't it?
I normally leave places looking like this. I rarely enter them. And it seems the mob have been stirred up as well. Am I on my horse, Gaz?
Oh, I don't think... If you have a horse, yeah, certainly. I was going to say I don't think you have one, but being a noble, you might do.
Well, I think I might be striding around in my best riding boots with my riding crop, wondering why there isn't a horse underneath me and where the hell did my squire go?
That's not an unreasonable question.
I'm sure about being mudbound at this particular juncture.
I certainly don't have any answers for you.
I'm going to cock an ear towards this mob to try and ascertain whether they're just peasant rabble or whether they're more fearsome voices like orcs or goblins or something worse.
Yeah, you lend an ear, and it sounds like humans to you. You've heard their noisy type often enough.
Nah,
and they seem to be shouting things like, we won't believe your lies, more take you, more spawn of darkness, and lots of other upsetting shouts.
I'm going to put Gunnar between myself and the shouting.
That's a very wise choice, because not long after that, going bursting forth, there's a small mob of actually 4 people, even though there's only 3 on the screen at the minute. But I didn't want to write to the artist in time to do me another one just for tonight. So there's a mob of 4 people who look like villagers as far as you can tell, but they look furious. One immediately points at you with a knife. Says, "We see you, demons, daughters of darkness. More spawn. Quick, everyone, bring them down. Yes, kill the liars. And they all start charging towards you.
I'm 100% turning around to look behind me for the demons.
You see a disinterested goat.
And a halfling hiding behind me.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Get out of here. Come on.
Okay, these four villagers with pitchforks, hatchets, frying pans, skillets, anything that they could possibly have to hand, come launching themselves at you with maddened wide eyes and froth flecking from their lips. They're clearly not interested in having a conversation. Their first action is going to be trying to skewer and chop you and batter you about the head. However, looking at our initiative scores, you guys are actually more quick if you wish to do something about that. So I'll throw it open, and the hobbits, the halfling rather, sorry, in this world, Molrella, you're actually the fastest if you wish to do something as they come stampeding across the road towards you.
Is there anything solid and big I can get behind really close to me? A fallen chunk of masonry or something like that?
Well, there's definitely like logs and things like that you could get behind.
Cool, yeah. I'm going to scramble quickly behind one of them whilst putting a stone in my sling.
Yeah, you've had time, so if you wish to launch your stone, you can do, or you can just wait. It's up to you.
I take it doesn't look like they're just trying to scare us. It looks like they're coming for our blood.
Oh, they've just got that feral look about them, like they're about to kill like an animal would.
I shall quickly spin the sling and then whip a stone out towards the lead one.
Awesome.
So, my range sling is 49.
That's pretty good.
And the dice are 92. So
okay,
that would be, I believe, -5 success levels.
Yeah, that is that plaintive goat is startled by a sling stone that lands near it and goes bleating off. But the villagers continue unabated. Gunnar, you're the next to act if you have something you wish to take.
I'm going to try and intimidate them by charging them with my axe.
I might do it. Okay.
So that is going to be 1 success level.
Awesome. Let me just roll for my.
And I'm going to take the old guy.
Sure, with the aggressive-looking frying pan.
Yeah.
He unfortunately got -5 levels of success, so you beat him by 6. So add 6 onto your weapon damage.
So that's +4, and I get +1 damage when I charge. So feel free to have a lot of damage.
11, and then have you had your strength to that as well?
Strength is 3, so yeah.
Okay, so that's looking like
14
damage. He does get stuff. Right, okay. What weapon is it? An axe, I take it?
An axe, yeah.
Yeah. You smack the old man across the side of the head brutally, and it's only because he was raised up with this metal skillet in the way that he doesn't actually die. But he looks in a very sorry state as part axe, part metal pan impact with his head, and blood sprays everywhere. And he looks a little bit dazed for a minute.
And
but
can
seems to be struggling to get to his feet.
Can I bellow at the same time? Quiet down!
I'll kill you, demon, with my dying breath. He spits between what remains of his teeth.
Oh, you're not wrong, I say.
So, Salundra, with a soldier's training, what do you do?
Okay, so I draw my sword, hold it aloft, and I sort of shout at the oncoming mob. Honest Reichlanders, you see before me my sword. I've had this in my family for 6 generations, but His Imperial Majesty Karl Franz himself presented it to me on the day I was commissioned. All of this is near backstory to you. All you need to know is that it will not lose 1 ounce of its quality when it's protruding from your shoulder blades. Desist!
Well, that's very good speech. And you would think in normal circumstances you might be able to intimidate them, but it seems they're in some kind of frenzy and aren't willing to listen to your psychological warfare.
Okay.
So there, in case you're getting your dice warmed up, ready to roll, I have to inform you that it won't work in this instance, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay, so the hobbit's well out of the way. The guy with a frying pan tries to hit the dwarf, so you get to defend yourself if you want. So you can roll your either your melee skill or you can try and dodge. Gets an opposed roll. He gets 0 levels of success.
All right, my weapon skill to just block it away I do have momentum as well, though, or advantage, so that is not going to be enough, though. So my advantage disappears. What did you get? 0 levels?
Yeah.
Beat me by 2.
Okay, so you're going to take 6 wounds, less, of course, your toughness and any armor you may have. I doubt you do. Location 82, if it matters.
Toughness is 5, so that's -1 wound. And the location is 82. Oh, left leg.
Okay, so as you've downed him, he kind of cracks you on the knee with his pan, screaming about how you're a demon. The woman behind you tries to hit you with her wheat chopping glaive. She gets she gets a level of failure actually.
Okay.
But again, you have to oppose this roll because that's how it looks.
And I am going to get 3 successes on that, so I block her away.
You do indeed. She trips over the old man. Meanwhile, for our noble friend, the guy with the pitchfork tries to stick that in your guts first of all if you want to defend yourself, Baz.
I knew it'd be you. Guys, I have 3 skills, which I'm not sure the difference between them or what's best to use for this. I've got melee basic, melee, and melee fencing.
So if you're using your sword, melee fencing is probably the one to use.
Yeah, okay. Is melee basic? I'm not entirely sure what that is. Maybe it doesn't matter right now. I'll roll my fencing ability.
Yeah, you use melee basic with stuff like hand weapons, so sword, axe, mace. If that's better for you, you could use that.
Yeah.
I imagine you've got a speciality because that will be better than the basic skill.
I see. Okay, you'd think, wouldn't you? But my fencing is worse than my melee basic, slightly.
Just use your basic stuff then, to be honest.
Fine. In that case, I have 6 success levels.
Okay, right. It doesn't get anywhere near you. You dance round and instruct him on the finer points. However, there's a 4th mysterious person in a cloak not pictured on the diagram who's going to try and stab you as well. So I'll try and get you to defend against them. But he does get -3 success levels. So you have to be particularly bad not to avoid him.
I got 4 success levels.
Okay, so with a stirring speech and fast feet, you avoid getting skewered by any of the villagers. We're back round to Molrella. You can now see that these frenzied villagers have started assaulting your companions, and even an axe to the face didn't slow one down too much. What do you wish to do?
I want to assess them for weaknesses and the like, trying to use my intuition skill to build advantage.
Sure.
Nice.
So I have intuition 48. I generate 0 success levels. As the dice are cursed by the chaos gods.
Yeah. Well, you look desperately for an advantage or the weakness, but the weakness is they are just normal blocks and women. So there's not really special weakness. They're just normal people.
Well, fair enough.
Okay, Gunnar, you get to act next.
Okay, I am going to basically try and drop the old man with a axe to the fruits, as they say.
Okay.
So that is 1 success.
He gets -5. So your axe does indeed impede on his fruits, and that's the end of him.
Yeah.
As you cleave his guts out with a swift axe swing that he drops to the ground. The woman to the side doesn't seem the least bit perturbed by this, which you find a little bit disconcerting.
I'm going to spit on the floor and go, "There's no honour in this fight. End it now."
Quiet, demon! And she spits back at you. Meanwhile, Salundra, you get to act.
Yeah, okay, so left hand's going to go in the small of my back. Right hand is going to, with a flourish, put my fencing sword right through the face of this stupid Reiklander. 5 levels.
-2 for me, so you get +7 to your damage.
Okay, and remind me how that works, mate. I've got a strength bonus, I've got a sword bonus, so...
Yeah, both of those.
It depends of the strength, isn't it? So 7, yeah. And your plus was 5, did you say?
You've got 7 overall because you got +2 and I got -5.
Oh, wow, okay. That's 14.
Yeah, even with... Yeah. You skewer him in a perfect bit of form, and he falls to the ground, clutching the narrow hole in his chest, and bubbling blood comes up in his mouth. He's probably not dead, but he's in such a bad way that you don't feel you have to worry about him too much.
He wishes he was.
Yeah, quite. Okay, there's only 2 of these villages left, and you would think, under normal circumstances, if you slew half of a bunch of an ambush, the rest might consider twice about whether they should stop, but These guys just seem like completely off their trolleys, frankly. And so the woman that's attacking Gunnar tries to chop at you with her glaive. If you wish to defend yourself, she's only got -3 though, so unless you completely mess it up, you should be safe.
I make that by 4 successes.
Okay, you laughably, contemptuously knock that blade aside, and the final mysterious townfolk attacks our noble, getting 1 level of success, unless you can parry that away.
Good about that, don't you?
That's about as good as it gets for my guys.
Okay, with a contemptuous parry, I've got 6 levels of success.
Okay, right, yes. You flick his makeshift weapon to one side, laughing. Molrella, we're back to you again. The number of opponents you face has now been halved, and you see the weakness is stabbing them with cold steel, you think?
I shall attempt to whack a stone from a sling at one of them. Giving up on trying to find an advantage, I simply flick a sling stone in their direction, gaining 0 success levels again.
Okay, how much damage do you do?
I do 6.
Cool. Which particular of your companions are you helping out there?
Well, I think that if I were to help the dwarf out, he would see it as an affront to his honour, and I have no wish to be regarded as a troll in his eyes. So it lashes out at the one attempting to get a fencing lesson.
Right.
Mind the hat.
The feathers part on your hat as a mysterious stranger gets a tunk, and a lead bullet bounces off his head. It doesn't seem to stop him down, but he's certainly taken a knock to the bones. As we go back to Gunnar, you're only faced with 1 opponent now.
Which one is it? The woman or the man?
Yeah, it's a screaming woman with a glaive.
Screaming woman. Okay. I'm going to sheath my axe into my hook behind me, and I'm going to stamp down on the frying pan that the old man's left next to me. As it flips up in the air, I grab hold of it and whack her with the frying pan.
Sounds amazing. Let's see if you got the dice to back it up.
Bong! 19, and I've got 3 of those, 9, so 8 levels of success.
Wow. Okay, I've got -1.
9 levels of success, so 11 points of damage.
Okay.
Well, depend on what you want the frying pan to do.
Yeah, I think you get +3 for a frying pan.
Oh, right. 10 points of damage then.
Okay. That's a good solid strike. Her nose shatters and blood starts to pour freely down the front of her dress, but it doesn't slow her in the slightest, apart from the fact that her insults become a lot more nasally. And she can't quite say what they want, my name anymore, as her nose is flattened.
I'm going to call over to Salundra. This reminds me, we didn't even have breakfast this morning.
A rum do instead, indeed.
Salundra, you're up.
Right, even the basket hilt on a von Drachenberg blade is enough to put you back in the mud. 5 levels.
-1.
6, that's going to be 13 altogether.
That's his toughness, but he has been hit by a sling stone. Okay, the mysterious villager is run through by you quite easily. And that's the end of him. Okay, I'll go back to the top. We'll see how this round plays out. I think it's the end for this lady, but let's just check. Molrella, then, there's just 1 opponent left who's with a bloodied nose, who's screaming at the dwarf.
I shall cheer encouragement to Gunnar, because I fear that getting involved would be a mistake. I'd like to try and use my leadership to transfer my advantage I got from my successful ranged attack to him.
That sounds great.
And I got 5 levels of success. So that's 1 advantage transferred over to Gunnar.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, Gunnar, you got an advantage last time for hitting your opponent without taking anything back. You've got an extra 1 from your halfling friends. You've got +20 to your skill effectively for this attack.
I've got a couple more than that because of my successful attacks in previous rounds. I'm up to 4 as far as I've counted, unless I'm mistaken.
You did get hit and lost 1, and I don't do them. So how I would do advantage is not for every roll you make, but only your successful attacks.
Okay, look, yep.
So it's probably a couple, to be fair, but as I say, I don't think it's going to matter
it's
for this.
Academic. I rolled an 18 and I've got 60 plus the 20 is 80, so 7 successes, please.
Yeah, I got 2, so it's not bad, but you're still at +5.
Yeah. 5 plus the 3 plus my strength of 3, so 11 points of clong damage.
Yeah, and you crack her skull in basically with your frying pan, and that's the end of her.
Yeah.
So yes, you're all panting, or perhaps just breathing mildly heavier than you were at the start, and there's a bunch of dead villagers around you. We're probably best off to clear up that just little bit of an advantage thing there, so we know what we're doing, and so that everybody watching knows what we're doing as well. So if you win an opposed test in a fight, you get a point of advantage.
Yeah.
That means you get plus 10% to your skill, basically. And that keeps accumulating. Now, the rules as written say every time you win an opposed roll, but then that means you get it for every defense roll you made as well, and that will soon escalate. So from my point of view, what I'm saying is, on your turn, if you win an opposed roll by attacking someone, you get the advantage. As soon as you're wounded or hit from an arrow or something like that, you lose all your advantage, though. So we'll know for next time, if there's a fight, you might not have to fight again, who knows. But every time you win in an attack, then you'll get a point of advantage until you're wounded when you lose it. If that makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Good. Right. So you're left on the side of this road by a ruined village and a bunch of dead villagers around you who seem to be not willing to speak to you.
In Moore's name, what on earth? Why would they just attack us like that? That makes no sense.
Never underestimate the stupidity of humans.
But if the road wardens see us, they'll sure to try and hang us for this.
I don't think we need to have any worries on that score whatsoever. As you could plainly see, and I'm the only eyewitness that matters, they drew steel and frying pans first. As I wiped the blade across the beard of one of these dead corpses. Push him over with my boot.
Then they proceeded to smash themselves over their heads with their own frying pans, I remember.
Yeah. Well, something's got amongst them, hasn't it? Something's wound up the local population, and noblesse oblige insist that we investigate the source of this ruckus. Come on, into the village. Let's go and find lodgings and ale. You're quite right, Gunnar. Breakfast is long since overdue.
Ooh, ale. That's a good idea. I'll ignore the Bretonian and we'll go for ale.
Cool. So you head through the darkened gates with the smashed-in doors. You can see that one of the towers is half ruined as well. Masonry is everywhere, and it looks like perhaps there were some defenders or some archers or something up there, but the whole half of the tower at the top's just been destroyed. As you step in, it's a grim scene indeed, with dead people and animals everywhere. Most of the buildings are a smoking ruin, but some still do seem intact. I'll assume you guys have travelled this way before, so you do know about some of the buildings that are here. You can see which ones make sense to visit and are still like more or less intact, if not completely so. There's the Red Queen, which is the inn where you probably spent the odd night. It certainly have plenty of ales. There's the Forge, which has a cherry glow coming from it, where you could get your arms and armour mended and new horses' shoes and things like that. There is the Temple of Sigmar, is blissfully, perhaps protected by Sigmar himself, seems more or less unscathed in all of his trouble. And there's a barber shop come surgery, where the barber surgeon plies her trade, which again seems to be reasonably good intact. Most of the places are pretty badly damaged or on fire or been levelled completely.
Well, that's a relief. The Red Queen still stands. Let's go.
Yes, interesting.
Why would normal life be carrying on in some of the places, like the tavern, when there is a murderous mob outside?
That is the mystery that we need to get to the bottom of, I say.
You are correct, Brandy Snap, and don't forget that seething mod came out of the woods towards their own village. Most strange. Still, I do my best thinking with a couple of Reichland finest vintages inside me.
Sounds awesome. So you're heading to the Red Queen, which is a tavern you've been in before, no doubt. Has anyone got any kind of tracking skill or something like that? If not, you can make a basic perception test, but it's going to be quite hard. So I'm going to say you're minus 20 to your roll.
Are we tracking outdoor survival?
That'll do.
All right. Let's have a little go at that. No. I have got minus 5.
I have 2 success levels on basic perception at -20.
That's
I've got
good.
exactly on the money, which I think is 0 success levels, but a positive 0.
Correct. Plus 0 rather than minus
0, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the dwarf's clearly got ale in his mind and he's just tramping off. Salundra, you looking about and you can see that there's been people running left and right and definitely some kind of large footprints that seem odd and weird to identify. But Morella helps you out because the halfling is just a little bit closer to the ground, maybe, has got a better eye for it. But there are these massive 4-toed footprints everywhere of some big creature that seem to be followed as well by another smaller set. And as your noble friends kind of musing about what types of creatures could have been here, your keen eye thinks that it's probably just one creature that's got different sized feet or something, but it would definitely be an enormous beast. It's, perhaps wyvern sized or something of that nature.
I'll bring it. I'll bring it to their attention.
A wyvern, you say?
That's not its size.
It must have been huge. Look at it.
Wow. There could be an honourable death in here.
Indeed.
I prefer a dishonourable life.
Wow. That's because you have no honour.
Okay. You reach the Red Queen. What would be a nice homely pub if it wasn't for the fact that there's the devastation all around. But there's no one in as you burst through the doors, ready to shout to the barkeeper or whatever for some fine ales. But you can hear shouting upstairs. Probably an elderly man, something like that, saying, "Get your hands off me! Let me go! It's the only way out! It's the only way, I tell you!" And perhaps more shrill a woman's voice saying, "No, Wilhelm, no, please don't do it! Don't do it! Think of everyone else! No, I must go! It's the only way!" And there's a lot of shouting from upstairs.
In amongst the carnage, I imagine there would be at least one tankard somehow that survived it all and has got half a foaming beer in it.
Correct, yeah. The foam's a bit flat now, but
yeah. I'll swoop that up and glug it down as we go stomping into the bar. Salundra, sounds like there's your kind of stuff upstairs, like feelings and stuff.
All right. See what you can find me from behind that bar. I'll take a glass of bread, Bretonian if they've got it.
Glad you said that.
Mistress Brandy Snap, come with me. Should we head upstairs and see what we can find? Do we remember anyone called Wilhelm? Is that the landlord or from a previous visit?
You probably remember Wilhelm. It could be the Burgermeister.
Could be.
And the woman's voice does sound a little bit like Clarice, the barmaid, who served you on many occasions.
Well, she would have served my servant, but you're right.
So, there'll be a layer of servants, but at some point she served the drink that you had.
You might look like a factory worker. I wouldn't look into a common person.
You get to the best room in the house, which isn't that best, to be honest, but it's not the common room. It's a room of its own, at least. You can see in the window there is indeed Wilhelm Kriegsrich, who is the Burgermeister, basically the guy who runs the town, the mayor or something like that, I guess you'd call it. He's in this lovely red, fine material thing, the slash sleeves and all the rest of it, but looking a little bit flustered. His cravat's all to one side, and he's like halfway out of the window, like in the way the sort of stepped windows at the top floor that heads out to the cobbles below. And he's like struggling to get out, going, no, this is the only way. And the barmaid, Clara, in this besmirched green dress and apron, is like clinging onto his belt, just about stopping him from getting out the window, going, "No, Wilhelm, you are a leader. You must stop."
I'm just gonna. What are you doing? What's going on here?
Clara turns around with eyes welling with tears and saying, he wants to jump out. He says this is the only way, but we must stop him. What is he doing? Let go of me, woman. I must jump. He seems to be like starting to win the battle now as strength wanes at trying to pull him back in again.
Don't be such a fool. Come back in and tell us what's wrong.
Why? Why not? As a child, I fled this way, and that's the way to flee again. It'll just be like when I was a boy.
Don't make me get a stool and box your ears. Now come in here now.
Okay. Do you want to make a difficult charm test for me? So we're -10.
You managed to listen to her.
-5 success levels.
Oh.
Okay.
And I've got 50% at the start. That was a terrible roll.
You can always spend a fortune point to re-roll if you want to.
Oh, you know what? Let's spend a fortune point.
Let's do.
Let's spend a fortune
Yeah,
point.
you hear a shout from downstairs. Go, they've got red wine left, which encourages you to re-roll.
-4 success levels.
Wow.
So he looks at you, and he looks like he's about to sort of come back in, and Clara releases her grip, and then you mentioned the thing about boxing his ears, and he just seems to lose all his mind, and he leaps out of the window. No! Clara shouts, and there's a meaty crunch from below, and maybe the snap of a neck.
Out of the way, woman. I march over to the window and peer out, see what state he's in below.
Yeah, you peer out and you see the Burgermeister's neck now at a funny angle, and his head's all twisted round. He's clearly died in the fall. He went head first. If he'd gone feet first, he might have just got away with a broken ankle or something, but he's taken a header and he's now dead.
Laura, what the hell was he doing?
I don't know. Ever since the attack, he's gone so strange. Everyone's gone so strange. I just don't know what to do. Oh.
Yes, we found some bodies on the road outside and rushed in.
And she starts sobbing uncontrollably.
I shall. I'll climb up on something and give her a hug to comfort her.
Oh.
She goes from a loud, distressed sobbing to a more kind of genteel, barely audible sobbing, but she seems at the minute certainly to be inconsolable and a struggle to get anything out of.
Now, Frau Kellner, you have an officer of the Reichsguard here, and you'll be needing a new Burgermeister too. Come on, straighten your back, woman. There's work to be done. Get the frying pans going. Let's make the best of this mess. We'll soon have it sorted out. Don't you worry.
I'll throw a scathing look at our dear soldier and then say, "Come on, Clara, let's go downstairs and get you sat down." You need a drink.
Okay, she drags herself to her feet so that she now towers over you and resting a hand on your shoulder rather than arm around it, sort of like lets herself be led back downstairs to where the dwarf's got a cask open now, I imagine, and there's a small bottle of red wine to one side while he sups on his beer.
Yeah. Quaffing it deeply, and I'm also kind of re-greasing my mohawk.
Okay, you can all grab drinks, and there's some food that you can rustle up as well. Clara just seems to have gone within herself and doesn't want to give much away at the minute, or not that she doesn't want to. She seems incapable of it.
I shall. While she's calming down, having a drink, I shall fry up some bacon and some eggs and gather some bread for people from the kitchen. Because cooking is one thing a humble halfling can do.
While I'm left alone upstairs for a couple of minutes as the other two go down, I'll just cast my eyes around the place. Anything out of the ordinary up here? Has this place been tossed like downstairs was?
It just looks messy, and as you have a good look round and like lean over the balcony and see downstairs as well, you don't think that on second glance it's that the place has been tossed. It just seems like everybody left in a hurry, or people have run through looking for something, or that kind of thing. So it just seems like it's been left in a panic, and it's a bit of a state rather than it being attacked per se.
More of a breakdown in discipline and morale.
Yes, quite.
Okay, unfortunate. Still, breakfast awaits.
While the Molrella is cooking in the kitchen, I'll take a beer out onto the veranda to light my pipe and sup, and I'll prod at the Burgermeister's body, flip him over, have a little nose at him just to see if there's any signs of or anything that there shouldn't be there.
Like an extra arm.
Yeah, exactly. Weird tentacles.
Tentacle beard.
Just to go a little bit meta, check the tattoos.
All that kind of jazz, yeah.
And notes from his cult leader. There doesn't appear to be much wrong with him, to be honest. He appears pretty typical of a burgomaster of this sort of village. You know, he's getting on his years. He's got a bit of a beer gut.
Yeah.
He probably should have been taking better care of himself. He's lived a fine life. He's got a decent amount of coin in his fat purse that you can snaffle if you want. But there's nothing untoward about him. He just seems like a regular guy, to be fair, that who'd perhaps lost his mind.
Well, I'll walk away from the gold thinking that I'm going to leave it there and then realise that I'm not going to, and somehow subconsciously it ends up on my belt loop as I walk back in, finishing my ale.
Sure. On the way back in, you do notice that the cherry glow from the forge has now got somewhat bigger, and there's like quite a lot of smoke coming out of it. Yeah, you notice the Sigmarite temple still seems in pretty good condition, actually, as you look around at the rest of the wreckage.
Right.
But they're just two other notes that you take as you sort of head back in and join the others.
All right. Fire at the forge is getting bigger. Be burnt to the ground in a couple of hours, I reckon.
Well, I intend to visit there.
Well, you want to be quick, otherwise it'll be a very short visit.
Do you think?
Give it 2 hours, you'll be able to see the whole lot in about 5 steps because it'll be burnt to the ground. Whereas if you go now, there might be something to see.
Oh, I didn't realise it was on fire. I thought someone was just stoking the forge.
Nah, well, trust me. I know these things when it comes to forges and fires.
Very well. What about the Temple of Sigmar? What state was that in?
Oh, perfect. Well, apart from the really shoddy workmanship, walls are out of kilter with each other, windows aren't level, just general bad workmanship. But at least it's still standing. Grimnir only knows how it's still standing, though.
It's a good job I like you, Hrolfsson. Right. Okay. Mistress Brandysnap. Frau Kellner there. Is she going to be okay, do you think? I do worry.
Well, if you give me a chance to perhaps talk to her more gently than is your way, Captain, then I will. I'll do what I can. If you perhaps check the forge, I will attempt to calm her down in your absence.
You do have the common touch, Morella. Yeah, let's put that to good use. Very well. Report in at the Temple of Sigmar. We'll be there in half an hour.
Of course.
Where are we going, Salundra?
To the forge, I say, standing up and stretching my back. And then maybe we'll go and pay our obeisances at the good temple, or the wonky temple.
I'll pull one more kind of draft into my mug and I'll go, this one's to go, and walk out.
Okay, the pair of you head over towards the forge. Morella, are you going to try some charm or something like that to?
Yeah, I'm going to feed her, get her a drink, and just sort of, try and be that sort of calm, pleasant, kind of ground her a little bit and see if I can get her to open up.
Okay, it's still difficult, so you get a -10.
Okay. Ooh, nice. That is 2 success levels.
Good.
Awesome. I'll not roleplay it all out. You get the impression by now she's a blubbering mess.
Indeed.
But in between all that, she seems to be talking about the giant toad. It was a toad that hopped around with a tongue that whipped out and drew people into a gaping maw with a then swallowed whole. And that's what she keeps coming back to, this theme of a giant frog or a toad that was hopping around the village eating people.
And does she let on anything about why people might be frenzying in mobs? I mean, the toad's probably reason enough, but...
Yeah, she goes through a kind of a bit of dialogue about how everybody's lost their minds, and she feels like she's the only sane one left, while clearly not being completely together.
Yeah, no worries. Well,
she's not got really any idea why that is.
I'll listen to her sympathetically for a little bit longer, and then excuse myself to head to the temple at the appropriate time.
Cool, no problem. Okay then. Meanwhile, back at the forge, as you approach, you can feel the heat coming off it. And as the pair of you enter in through the big barn doors they've got, they can lead the horses out of and stuff. There's just a blast. It's like opening an oven. There's this hot air causes sweltering spots on your foreheads immediately, and you start to feel the force of the flame. The fire in the forge, as far as you guys can tell, is excessive. Certainly from Gunnar's point of view, as a dwarf who knows about crafty kind of things, it's a ridiculous amount of fire for any kind of like normal blacksmithing and that sort of thing.
Well, I may well remove my hat under that reference.
Right, I'm going to step in, see what's going on in there.
Okay, you see Hugo Schmid is there glistening in sweat. He's basically just got his boots and an apron on, it looks like, from what you can tell, sweating his ass crack off. And he's hammering away at some metal. He's got what looks like a really archaic old armor suit. And he seems to be welding and hammering and bolting like crude spikes that have been made from like ladles and plowshares and like gate railings and any other bits of metal he can get. And he's making this like weird, ancient yet new spiky set of armor, like labouring away, sweating and sweating. In the corner, you also see Emil, the brewer. You can tell he's the brewer because he's got a little bottle with an XXX written on it that he's sucking out of. And they're not on their own. Quickly, I might as well chuck all these on here so you can see what they are, and then we'll try and just readjust that frame in case it's gone a little bit wonky. There we are. So in total, you work out that there's 4 men, but they kind of come in by 1s and 2s.
All right.
Hugo's making this crazy armor. Emil is going, no, that's not the way. It stayed away from my still. It hated it. What you want to do is douse all that in my good 4X. Yeah, some of that. He takes with a hearty swig of his spirits, and he's surprised from the fumes that the bottle hasn't gone up by now with the heat of the forge. It's not long after then that the builder Kai enters in the forge, and he's got another armful, or 2 arms full, of wood, which he just clatters to the floor and starts chucking more on. And Hugo's saying, yes, more heat. And amongst them all is Bruno Becker, the baker, who's just like nodding furiously with anything that anybody says. And as Hugo's going, more heat, he goes, oh yes, of course. And Kai says, I need to get more firewood. And Bruno says, oh, that's a brilliant idea. You didn't get more firewood. And even as Emil saying, no, my spirits are the answer, Bruno says, yes, his spirits, that's what we should do. And into this crazy, chaotic scene, the 2 of you enter. What do you wish to do?
All right, lads. I'm with Emil. Anything can be solved with a good, strong spirit.
Yeah. See, he knows.
Pass the
Do you want
bottle.
a drink?
Pass the bottle.
He passes the bottle along, and you take a swig, and it's the most foul-tasting moonshine you've ever had in your life, and you've lived a long and fruitful life.
I'll pass it back to him.
Yeah. Your vision goes a little bit cloudy, but it starts to reassert itself after a while.
So what are you trying to build some armour for then, lads? I mean, you're going about it all wrong. You've got the temperature too hot. You've got this ponce in here with his bread. Don't even know what he's doing in here. At least Emil's got a good idea and bringing a drink to the party. Hugo, what are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing?
Well, I
He
think
looks down at you as if you're like something he stepped in.
I think what you're doing is you're taking a perfectly good set of armour and you're making it all a bit bad.
This seems to infuriate him. He's not happy at all with your approach. Says, you know nothing. Look at the size of you. You're not a real man, half man. You know nothing about making armour. This is the thing that will help me defeat the monster. Oh, yes, you'll all see.
Monster, you say? Tell me about the monster.
The monster that attacks with its sticky tongue. I'm going to wear this here spiky armour, and that will ruin it as it tries to devour me. I'll kill it from the inside.
Well, hold on. Let me just work this out. So your plan is literally to get eaten by a monster, and then your spiky armor's going to ruin it from the inside.
It'll try and eat me. I'll kill it in the mouth. That's what I'll do. Kill it in the mouth. And his eyes go wide. You can see the flames like licking in them in a reflection. They just seem to glow red.
Hey, I like his plan. I think his plan's a good one, actually.
Emil, who sat next to you and offers you some more eyesight ruining 4X.
I'll have a little wee nip.
No. It fled from my still, did the monster. What he wants to do is douse himself in this stuff and like one lick and it'll go running. He can get it cornered that way. Douse it in 4X. That's what he needs to do.
And one lick of fire will see to the rest of it, hey? I get you.
Yeah. It is a bit fiery, this bratch, and kind of What was it? Probably too much juniper.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Salundra,
Salundra,
what are you doing at this point? Sorry, I just want to check
Well,
on.
I'm about to be addressed by Hrolfsson, I think. So, yes, Gunnar?
well, it looks like these guys have got a bit of a plan going. All seems
Yes,
pretty
I heard.
sensible to me.
Tactically naive, but probably effective in the short run.
What do you know? Have you heard about a big monster with a sticky tongue? I bet you have
No,
over the
not.
years.
But I suspect that something's put the wind up these villagers, and they're just doing what they can to try and keep their morale up until the professionals, thee and me, show up and put the beast to the sword. Let's see if we can get a location. Where is this monster? You there with the hammer? Where is it? When does it appear?
Well, it's only appeared the once, but we'll find it. How hard can it be? It's a huge thing. We'll just follow it. Emil's like, no, you can't. It flew away. How can you follow? How can you track it when it flew somewhere? You know nothing, you lot.
When did it attack?
Yesterday, and they all seem a little bit, considering it was like a big devastating event, they all seem pretty hazy about it.
Mm-hmm.
The common view seems to be like yesterday or the day before, but this just seems to be another bone of contention for them to argue about.
Okay. Hrolfsson, the men are addled by the heat, I would suggest. I'm going to have to step outside. Have you got this? I'm going to go to the temple.
Do you know what? I don't want to see you anywhere that you might be feeling lonely. I'll come with you and leave these lads to their excellent plan. You keep up the good work, and I'll walk out with the bottle of 4X if I can.
Okay. Yeah. As you're exiting, probably what you realise is the way they stoke in that fire is that pretty soon the whole forge is going to go up unless something happens to change that.
I'm going to go to the Temple of Sigmar.
Okay.
Okay. Am I aware of the danger that this is in, or is that a dwarven forge skill?
I mean, I can quip a throwaway comment going, ha ha, I had to take this bottle out of here. That place is going up any second.
Really? I thought you were exaggerating. I mean, it was bedeviled hot.
Nah, did you see the way the chimney was glowing? They're going to get what we call an inferno backdraft happening any second now. And that's where the heat can't escape fast enough, so it doubles back on itself and whoosh, and they'll all be gone like that.
I see. Right. Very well. Let's find a position of authority. Unfortunately, the Burgermeister has been somewhat inconvenienced by his own suicidal tendencies. I wonder if there's still a cleric at the Temple of Sigmar that we could ask or insist that he go and pull that townsfolk out of there.
I mean, do you need a? I mean, how bothered are you about them? I mean, honestly, they've got maybe 2 or 3 minutes at the most, I reckon.
Oh, I see. Well, bother doesn't really come into it. I mean, I think they should be rescued. That's kind of within our duty, within our jurisdiction.
Is it?
Yes, of course it is.
Oh.
We work for the Reichland. We work for the Emperor. Of course we do.
Huh.
Can't be seen to be slacking off in the face of this. Come on. Now turn around in the mud. 180 it. Come on.
All right, if that's what you want.
And bust back in.
Okay.
You men. I'll have you lined up outside. At the double. Come on. Quick. I hold open the door for them.
Kai Bauer looks a little bit confused and then just seems to snap to the being told what to do by nobility thing and sort of follows your wishes. Still got 2 arms full of like another set of cords of wood that he's gathered, but he sort of follows you out. Bruno, the baker, he seems to follow as well quite quickly. From his look at the cut of his jib, you think he was perhaps in a mercenary company or something once. And as you give your authoritative orders, he seems to follow that as well. But Emil just kind of like waves a hand at you and looks round for his bottle that seems to have gone missing. And Hugo seems deeply intent on his armor and keeps hammering away the metal, saying, "Whatever, woman, go away, I'm busy."
Woman? Right. Okay. I think that'll be enough of that. Right then. Hrolfsson, with me. Bring your axe. I'm going to stride across the baking forge and get up into Schmidt's face. Like when his hammer comes down on the anvil, my sword will go down on top of the hammer shaft so that he can't lift it again. I'll lock eyes with him and give him the stare of nobility.
Awesome. I think to be able to intimidate him in this particular instance, you're going to have to make an opposed strength check, as he's going to try and lever up his hammer no matter what, and you're trying to keep it down with your sword. So if you roll your strength against his, we'll see whether you can browbeat him.
I'm hoping that my orange spiky haired friend is going to have him in a half Nelson in a minute. So
Yep.
Okay, so it's on strength, you say, yeah?
Yeah, he's got 2 success levels.
I have +0.
Okay. So your plan almost works, but he's just too strong for you. He's used to beating metal for a living and can lift his hammer back up, and he gives you like a mocking grin. Gunnar, are you doing something about it?
Yeah, I'm going to use him being distracted by Salundra to walk up behind him, and as I grab a, I don't know, like a wrecking bar kind of thing off of the workbench, and I'm just going to tap him up between the legs, just to kind of get his attention a little bit. Just a love tap.
Okay, then. It sounds like it's going to be an intimidate.
Yep.
Because you've got help from your noble friend and you've surprised him a little bit, I'm going to give you +20 to your skill for that.
Beautiful. Oh, in which case, have yourself 2 successes.
Okay, yeah, that definitely gets his attention. He was just about to start giving the noble a lot of mouth, and he feels a little tap between his legs and suddenly goes very, very quiet, and his eyes sort of swivel in his head, trying to see who's behind him while not turning around.
Yeah. I kind of got this imagined like the crowbar's kind of gone up, and now it's there as that kind of point of reminder of who's got control of the lever. Blacksmith, you want to watch yourself around the lady. I'm just saying.
Well, okay, but this is really important. I need to go and defeat the monster, so I had to be about my work. No offense intended.
Well, that's fine. Apology accepted. But listen, that forge is going to blow any minute now. You boys have stoked it up way too hot, and you're going to get a horrendous inferno backdraft coming through in a minute. If you want to finish your work, you need to step outside and let that forge cool down a little bit. So why don't we step outside and have a little drink, and then we'll work out how best to finish your armor. And if the big flying demon beastie creature with a big sticky tongue turns up, you leave it to old Gunnar. Gunnar will feed it, don't you worry. My axe.
And he like weighs up his life choices at this point and figures that acquiescing for now is certainly the most palatable option. So he agrees to come outside.
Good lad. Good lad.
Anymore.
I'll pass him the bottle of 4X as we're walking out then.
Okay. Emil follows you out as well at that point, finding himself alone in the forge, which is not where he can be to complain about stuff.
Okay.
And he whispers to you, Salundra, on the way out, going, It can't have been a frog or a toad or whatever. It had horns. It definitely had horns.
I see. Don't worry, you can speak to my adjutant soon. We'll take sketches. Come on, town meeting in the square. Come on, chop chop.
Yeah, I think it went off towards the levee, you know. I'm pretty sure that's where it went anyway, when I saw it fly off. And if you're calculating, you probably see that he didn't see anything much. He probably ran away and hid, but he's trying to talk it large.
Yeah, I think he's just patching together things that he's passing them off as his own witness. Very well. Hrolfsson, good work. We'll make an NCO out of you yet. I'll ruffle his hair. He loves that.
I'm just going to take it stoically.
Ah, look, there's Mistress Brandysnap now at the temple. Come on, let's see what's afoot. Let's get some authority going in this town. Show some leadership.
Okay, I'll see the three of you reassemble just outside the Temple of Sigmar then.
Mm-hmm. We'll have this done by Christmas. We are there.
All right. What are we doing with these civilians? These crazies?
Well, if I had my way, marching, drill, get a bit of discipline into them.
Right. Well, we need to keep them distracted.
Since we're throwing themselves into a loose group, we're now arguing again.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Not in the forge, feeding the fire at the minute.
Okay.
Silence in the ranks.
I think as long as they're arguing, they're not doing any mischief. They're out here arguing. It's all fine. If you ask me, I think they're a bit addled in the brain.
You could well be right.
Molrella, you're first Temple of Sigmar probably, but it's not going to be too long before the rest join you. Okay. As you left the Red Queen, you did hear this what sounded suspiciously like a heavy body hitting the pavement again behind you as you kind of like left it, and the unintended inhabitants, but you probably didn't look over your shoulder too much to work out what was going on. You see, as you're looking around the square in front of the temple, as you've got a little bit of time, that there's the village priestess, you assume. It's a headless corpse now, but it's lying in the center of the square with a warhammer, still tightly gripped in one hand, but the head's completely missing, and one of the boots, bizarrely. There's puddles of stinking deep purple fluid, viscous and acrid, that are pooling between the corpses, in between these like oversized footprints that you've seen before. The same purple fluid cuts abandoned weapons and is splashed on the temple's external walls. You can even see half a body that's hanging half off the spikes on the temple roof. Its face a mask frozen in terror. But aside from that, the building seems in good repair. There's just a lot of people who died here, but it does look like they perhaps inflicted some wounds on whatever it was that attacked the village.
I'll make a superstitious warding sign against chaos and evil. Halflings being a superstitious lot, and sidle over to the priest's body, and just sort of look a little closer. I mean, it's obvious how it died, but
Yeah.
or was it? And just sort of look if it looks like the head was cut off after, or is it sort of a jagged, torn off kind of wound?
Sure. While you're there, have you got a lore such as poison or monsters?
Alas, I have neither.
Okay, that's fine then. You can definitely tell that the head wasn't cut off; it was bitten off. There's the definite serrated teeth edge marks and the tears of flesh. So the head was just bitten, snapped clean off, and you can see around the body some contusions and crumpling, as if a big sticky tongue, for example, wrapped around and crushed the body tight before the head was taken. But this hammer does have some of this purple acrid fluid on it as well, so it looks like the poor priest died defending the village as best she could.
Totally not touching the purple acrid stuff. See, because I'm the only one around, see if there's anything worth stealing.
Yeah, there's plenty of villages there. They don't have a lot of money, but between all of them, you can probably accumulate quite a lot of coins.
I mean,
nice little fat purse.
Not going to rob the priest. Not that stupid. The gods are watching.
Yeah.
But I'll absolutely rob a few of the dead townsfolk. And once I'm done, I'm going to check out the temple.
Awesome stuff. Okay. Probably about the time you finished rifling every single pocket and pouch that you can find, the other two have wandered up. So the three of you together as you enter in the temple. As you get through the gates, you can hear the laughter of children, you think, like joyous and stuff, which seems weird and incongruous given the rest of the situation. But if we whip that screen across there, I might have to do a bit of jiggling again, which will upset that. Do that one, and we'll do that one, and then recenter things. So you can see there's the empty throne, which is there for when Sigmar returns, that stays empty as always. There's a kind of pulpit or a lectern, certainly, with some book on it, an illustrated manuscript of Sigmar, probably some holy scriptures, that a woman seems to be rifling through and making notes in the margins or something. She's constantly humming to herself and doing that. But by far the most boisterous is three kids who are running round and round playing some sort of game around the throne of Sigmar, or chair of Sigmar, and laughing and joking and throwing things at each other and just basically having a whale of a time. It seems that the woman occasionally looks up at them and sort of smiles to herself and then carries on with the little scrawlings that she's doing and seems at this point oblivious to the three of you.
Is this a normal way that you show respect to your gods?
No, not what you'd call normal, but nothing about this day has been normal so far. I see no reason for it to change. You there, you at the lectern, madam.
Yes, she kind of looks up and says, sorry, I'm very busy. I've got to mind the children. There's no one else to look after them now.
Well, you're not doing a very good job of it.
Oh, they're fine. We just cope with grief in our own ways, and she kind of laughs to herself a little bit.
Sorry, wait, I didn't get that, Salundra. What part of that was funny? Why was she laughing to herself?
I don't know. I don't know. The woman's addled, as they all are.
Something's happened, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
Oi, kids! Who wants to see a big shining gold piece of gold?
You don't have any gold.
I'm going to pull them out and just start juggling with them.
He's got gold. He's got gold. And they all come running over to you and trying to snatch at your hands and grab your coins out of the air.
Just kind of keep it out of the air. What are you doing running around inside a temple? What's wrong with you? Didn't anyone teach you respect?
What? It's safe in here. There's monsters out there. We're not going out there. Huge monsters. Yeah. It was a great flying turtle. Yeah, and he breathed fire as well. It was awesome.
Flying turtle that breathed fire. Tell me more about it. How big was it?
It was as big as 3 houses. And when Frau Kenner went to try and fight it, bit her into 17 bits. Yeah, it did. And he breathed fire over her. Yeah, and then it ate her as well. And yeah, it was great. Oh, so awesome.
Right, all of this sounds excellent. Have some of the Burgermeister's gold.
They seem quite excited by this.
Stop running around the altar. Stop running around and disrespecting your gods.
And old man Kukler ate him. He deserved it. He was right, he won't give me my ball back.
Well, that's what happens when you don't give people their ball back.
And the smallest of them, Shek, looks over at the one behind. Let's go. He says we have to stop running around now. And she's like, no, don't you worry, my dears. We'll go for a little walk in a minute. I just need to finish some more homework first. And then we're all going to go for a nice walk.
Hold on.
Yes, we don't have to do what you say.
Well, you don't have to do what I say, but I do have a massive axe and a really, really short temper. What does she have?
Look at him with his big axe. One of them gives you a playful tug at your beard.
I quite like these kids, I'm not going to lie. Here, have a drink of this. Calm yourselves down. I'll give them the 4X and then stomp over to Martha and give her a piece of my mind.
Yeah. In short order, one of them was crying and vomiting. The other two find it hilarious. So, it's not a hope.
Oi, woman. What do you mean you're going to go for a walk outside? What's the meaning of that? Thought it was dangerous outside and that's why you're stuck in here, disrespecting the gods. No good will come of it.
They're safe under Sigmar's eye. Don't worry. He watches over them. They'll be safe.
But where are you going to go for a walk?
We're going to find it. We're going to find that monster.
I'm going to, bleary-eyed, because I've had a couple of drinks, look down at what she's writing. Is she drawing, has she got that thing that you see in the movies where she's just scratching a piece of paper and it's now completely black with charcoal?
You cast your eye over it, and it seems to be nothing to do with what's on the page. She's merely using it as something to draw on. And if you're a discerning art critic, you might suggest a plan seems to be to find the monster, use the 3 children as bait, and then when it comes, she's going to shoot it with arrows. That seems to be like the kind of drawing that she's making.
Salundra, this woman's got a plan.
Again, tactically naive, but understandable, without real leadership. But I admire her initiative.
Good plan.
This is complete madness, all of it.
Madness it is, mistress. Madness it is. Well, I think realistically, we're going to have to find this monster and beard it in its very lair. Show it the von Drachenberg steel, eh? What?
Finally.
It's just a question of finding the beast at this point.
Finally, an idea that I can get behind.
Can you use that bow?
Oh, yes.
Monsieur?
I'm an expert shot. I've coated the tips and a fine venom, sure to defeat the creature. Yes. It just needs the right encouragement to come out of its rear.
Where is its lair?
Go to the north, in the forest by the lake.
In the forest by the lake.
Yeah, I'll bring it out. And she sort of lowers her voice as a bit of a conspiracy and says, oh yes, look at those tasty plump kids. And you look over to see the poor innocent children playing with their 4X.
Nice.
If you try and harm those children, I'll slit you from gizzard to gizzard and back again.
You don't know about gizzards. I'm a barber surgeon. I know more about gizzards than you've eaten.
That's like all the way round.
You know you want to keep them on the inside, generally speaking.
Can whoever wants to intimidate to try and make a very hard intimidator, so that's a -30.
Is she addled as well, Gaz? Am I getting the impression that she's making half this stuff up like the last fellow?
She does not seem of sound mind. As I say, like she's writing on the Holy Scriptures of Sigmar, but using it like a jotting pad.
Yeah.
She seems perfectly happy with the plan of staking out some kids for a monster to come and eat to give her a chance to shoot it.
I admit the evidence is there for her not being completely on the straight and narrow, but relatively speaking,
I mean, anybody who's a parent can get behind a plan at least twice a day, I reckon.
Absolutely.
You think, Morella, that given that you've got a soldier with you and someone of noble bearing, and you've got a troll slayer, let alone yourself, that a normal barber surgeon in the village, when you said we're going to slit your gizzards if you don't do this thing, that they would crumple.
Yeah, she
seems fully, on board with her own plan.
Right, by the lake, by the. Do you know what? I wasn't even paying attention. You talked about going out of the town, north somewhere. Oh, I don't know.
North in the woods by the lake. I suggest.
There you go. Well, let's leave them to it. I say.
I wouldn't trust her at my back with her bow in this state.
Okay, so are you planning to head out then, or doing anything else here, or want to root around the village some more, or what?
Seems a little bit.
What's on that main map, mate? Yeah, you've got your locations. Can you just remind us? Is number 2 the inn, and what are the other ones?
So 2's the inn, 3's the forge, 5 is the Temple of Sigmar, 4 is the barber shop cum surgery that this woman owns as a building, you presume.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. And there's no figure of authority in this village at all that we've met now that isn't dead, frankly.
No, that's right. Like you would think that the priest of the Temple of Sigmar was probably the next on the list, and she obviously died fighting the monster. From what you can gather and ascertain, it seems that anyone who's brave or thoughtful or had some leadership qualities probably led the defence of the village and perished. Mm-hmm. And now you're kind of left with the others that hid away or have other flaws, perhaps.
Okay. How about if we spread out through the village a little bit more, just take a little recce, because it doesn't look like it would take more than a few minutes, really. I wonder if we could figure out if we could track this beast, or whether it did genuinely lift off with wings, and maybe tie some of the eyewitness reports together and see if we can get a sense of what truly happened and where we can find this monster.
Sure. So again, it'd be similar to earlier. So you can make an outdoor survival check to sort of track things round, or you can make a perception check, but that's going to be -20 because it's quite hard to just guess.
Yeah. I can see there's prints all over this map, so I'm going to see if I can find out where it started and finished with outdoor survival for me.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 level.
Nice.
Okay, that's good.
0 levels for me.
Okay, just 1 level. That's the highest best we've got between you, is it? When you put your heads together.
Oh, I'll have a little. I also am 1 level.
Yeah. Okay. So you're pretty much come to the same sort of conclusions. It looked like this thing rampaged up, down, sideways, all over, and people were running towards it and away from it and hiding places, and it certainly hopped and jumped and bounced about the place, you think. So it wasn't like it was flying overhead, breathing fire down as this great big fire-breathing turtle that the kids mentioned might be. There's definite drag marks, so you think the story about the sticky tongue sucking people into it seems reasonable. It's definitely big. It can bite heads off and probably people in half, you think, from the size of it. Perhaps not flying. You think maybe it's almost like it's got vestigial wings or something. So maybe some, like, if you imagine a flightless bird or something that can kind of hop and flap for a bit and then has to land again. So it's got that kind of feel to it. You can see some tracks of heading up towards the north, or maybe the northeast slightly. And there's some jumps or impacts that you can see in the fields heading out east towards where the granaries and the mill towers are.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed there was a body of water to the north as well, wasn't there?
That's right.
And
yeah.
The signs we've had so far is a frog-like beast. Now, my schooling was a while ago, but old Master Lemon used to tell me about things called amphibian. I don't remember the word now. I think it was an Australian word or something. But it maybe water is where it makes its lair.
Well, that seems reasonable.
Can we see the lake from the edge of the village, Gareth?
I mean, yeah, you can see the area of it, certainly. You can see the stone levee that's been built up, and perhaps where the lake used to be, and it's been redirected around the village and stuff, and the body of water. You're not quite sure from where you are, but you think there's possibly at least a couple of figures moving around up there as well.
Right, and the brewer mentioned the leather here as well, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
In his ravings. All right, who fancies a constitutional?
I have no desire to, but it's necessary. Let's get it done.
Is that a fancy noble word for a drink?
Well, it's a walk first, but hopefully followed by a drink. The best walks normally are.
All right.
Go on, let's get this done before lunch. I want to find my blooming horse.
Well, we know this thing can bleed, and if it can bleed, it should die.
Keeping our spirits up as always, Morella. Come on then.
If it doesn't die, then we're all going to die a glorious death. So that's a win-win in my book.
I'm hoping not to die at all until I inherit Daddy's vineyards. Come on, let's walk.
You head past the swaying wheat fields and past some goat pens where there's some now calmed down and pleasantly bleating goats that stare at you, almost looking forlornly as you head off to the north. But you do eventually come across a levee and lake, and you see a couple of figures. I'm going to have to do this thing where I rearrange the screen a little bit for you, if you bear with me. And then that should pop it back in frame nicely. So there's a guy who's clearly the butcher, who's got big, fat, muscly arms, big bear of a guy, a bloody apron on, his cleaver buried in the dirt near his feet. And he's moving stones, like quite big ones, just hefting them up and chucking away, sweating under the effort of his labours. And also with him is a nice old lady who's helping as best she can, but in the kind of way of moving like small pebbles and occasionally like struggling with a stone until Mr. Fleischer comes over and moves it for her. The two of them seem to be trying to disassemble the levee as you guys walk up.
Another plan. I can't wait to hear this one.
All right, lads, what are you up to?
Lads, says Maria, looking quite confused. Gerd sort of like girds himself and stands up and both plants his hands on his ample hips and looks at you and says, "Oh, you come to help, have you?"
No.
Yes. We need to flood this beast out, and that's what we should do. I bet it's down to the south of here somewhere. We're going to move this levee. We're going to let the waters flow again, and that'll flood it out. That'll get rid of it once and for all. Aye, flood it out. We should.
If it's a frog, can't it breathe in the water?
A frog? What are you talking about, man? Well, it's not a frog.
Well, what is it then?
Oh, it's a horned iguana or something. It's some kind of lizard monster. Its eyes move in different directions and stuff, and it's got horns and things. It can breathe fire, I think someone said, but I didn't see that.
Listen, and I'm tapping him on the in the midriff. We were categorically told that this thing lived up here. Are you telling me that it doesn't live here after all?
Oh, no. I saw it go towards the Red Oghams. It's down by the Stone Circle. That's where it is, and we can wash it out with this water. I don't know what you're doing up here. Apart from helping me move these bloody stones.
Tell you what we're doing up here. Colossal waste of time is what we're doing.
Oh, are you all right, dearie? And Maria comes over to you, Morella, and pinches your cheek and offers you some jelly babies. Oh, bringing a child out for work like this? That's not right, is it? Are you all right, love?
Oh, yes, I'm fine. Would you tell me a story, please, Grandma?
Oh, yes, and here's a shiny shilling for you so you can buy some sweeties.
Oh, shilling?
I want to kind of drag her over to one side and try and get her to tell me her story of the creature. I will play along that I'm a child for now.
Sure. Well, I didn't witness it myself, to be honest. I'm not quite sure. I've heard it's a giant frog, or a lizard, or a dragon, and it can fly, or maybe it walks, and I think it kills people, and it bleeds purple blood like rainbows. And you see all the colours of the rainbows when you stab it, apparently, but I'd not stabbed it because I'm too old, really. And my son's still there. I wonder if he's got the bread on. His bakery in a right state where I left it. But yeah, I mean, I hid in the cellars because it was horrible. Oh, it went through everybody. It went through Mavis, and it went through Olivia, and then she starts like listing off all the friends that have been slaughtered by this beast. But Gerd's quite right. What we need to do is get this levy down, and that'll pull the water away, and that'll wash it away, and then we can have cake and tea and stuff, and that'll be nice. And you kind of like get the lay of the land and have a look about, being used to farming and cooking and stuff, and you can see that it looks like the track they're on at the minute, if they do break this levee, it's just going to send the river running right through the centre of the village and washing away whatever's left of it, to be honest.
Might wash away their madness.
Yeah. But Grandma Becca, wouldn't that destroy the village?
Oh, no, Gerd said it's all right. Sophie says it's all right. It must be. He does really nice pork chops.
But boys are silly, you know that, Grandma Becca. You need to be the smart one. You need to tell him what's right.
Yeah, no, you're right, actually. So why?
Because if it's a frog thing, the water won't hurt it.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, no one's thought of that.
Maybe he'd be better going back and helping people in the village get ready in case it comes again. Because if it comes while you're out here, you can't hide in the cellar because there's no cellar. And please, Grandma Becca, I don't want you to get hurt. Get Gerd to take you back to town, please, please.
That sounds a great pitch. Can you make a charm roll for me? I'm going to give you plus 20 because you're getting into the role. And
only one success level, but should be enough.
That's enough. And pretty soon she goes over and starts telling Gerd off and says he must go back to the village to help everybody else. And Gerd seems pretty much disinterested and like, what single track mind? Like, well, you go back if you want, Mum, and I'm going to clear this bloody rocks out of the way. And it's going to take him some time, but he seems convinced he's going to carry on doing this on his own if no one else helps him.
I mean, Salundra.
Yeah.
I mean, they all seem entirely determined on their own destruction, which is a theory I can get behind, but I don't want any part of this madness. The lure of a giant frog demon winged wyvern thing is definitely appealing, but I'm not even sure it exists at this moment in time.
No, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just exists in all of their heads. Maybe the beast is more subtle than we were led to believe. But the evidence of those tracks would suggest some kind of monstrosity.
And the corpses and the purple pools of blood outside the temple.
Difficult to deny, Gunnar. Difficult to deny.
Corpses are easy to fake. You just hit people with axes and then they turn into them.
I think perhaps, yes, decision made. The red oghams were mentioned. Standing stones? Did any of you sharp-eyed among us, did anyone see those on our way about the village?
I've been called many things, but sharp eyes is not one of them.
Yeah. They're there. On the...
Well, we can have a little saunter down the road if we want to, or down the river.
How did we miss those when we were travelling from east to west, as I'm sure we all agreed upon? Anyway, must have been looking for my horse. Maybe it's there.
Hidden by the trees, maybe, Major. Hidden by the trees.
Yeah, quite likely. All right, Scout, come on. Let's investigate these stones. See if we can get one more piece of this infernal jigsaw before lunch. My stomach's rumbling already.
Okay, you head following what looks like